Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Distance Dilemma podcast. My name is Sean Finn, and this is my good friend Imran Malik Meyer. Jesus Christ. Well, no, Jesus Christ probably isn't the right word for Imran anyway, but how are you, bud? How are you? How's the last week been?
I'm, I'm good. I have one thing to say to you that you keep saying at the start of every podcast, and I don't know if
What?
no one else has picked this up. You pronounce my name completely wrong.
What,
It's
Imran?
Imran Malik Mar, not
My,
Maher.
oh, is it?
Maher. Maher. It's Mar.
In my hair.
You make me sound like I'm Mater from Cars.
May
Every
her.
week. Maher.
I am so
Every
sorry.
week. Every week I listen to the podcast. I'm like, what the hell?
Do you know what though? This is the thing with because with my name, most people only call me by my surname. As you well know, you're one of the people that mostly only call me by my surname. But with
Yeah.
you, I don't have any other friends with your first name. So I actually very rarely ever say your second name. And if I do say it, it's very rarely. I don't think it's ever really been to you. Like it's always been like,
Never.
what's your mate's name?
Never.
Or there was a time where I stuck you on a guest list for something and like I said it then, but I actually never say your full name to you.
I don't think I ever call you Sean.
No.
I actually
It's,
can't remember
I
a
find it
time where
weird
I
when
call
you
you
call
Sean.
me when you say Sean. I think of Mango
Yeah, yeah. That's
because
what, but I wouldn't even
that's
call it Sean Mango. I'd call him Mango.
yeah no yeah yeah. But yeah, even
And
when you like it doesn't register with me like this thing. I explained this in my job the other day where like it happened. It came up a few weeks ago where I was like, oh, not many people actually call me Sean, and they were like, what? Because like it's one of the few because we're a small group. It's one of the few places where there isn't a second Sean. Like there's always because it's such a common name. It always comes up that like okay, it's just easier to call me something else. Like so it's always been Finn for
and I
me.
have I have three friends in my life now that are all called Sean, and I only call one of them Sean. So you know, it's like Mango, Finn, and Sean.
Yeah.
So
It's
yeah, it's
the only
funny.
people that call me Sean are people in work, Simone, and like my family. And most of the
Yeah,
people call me Finn, you know.
or any registration office.
Yeah. Or the
Not the
master
sex
chef.
offenders one. Yeah, not the sex offender one. Just put it there.
Thanks for clearing that up.
Just
I appreciate that.
clarification, guys.
Yeah,
How was
even
your
at
week?
the yeah, good. Our fridge arrived. Everybody, an update. The fridge arrived and it's fucking deadly.
Huge. He sent me the follow on WhatsApp, and I was like, Jesus Christ, you can fit a dead body in there.
It was so funny when we loaded the fridge up, right? Because we had just done a full shop on the Saturday, right? So our old fridge, we'd borrowed an old fridge, and it was like the fridge was tiny. Imran has seen it. It was like less than 4 or 5 in height, like, and like you could barely fit a loaf of bread in the freezer. It was tiny. So we load this thing up, and like we just done our shopping on Saturday, and the fridge like it's like a game of Jenga trying to fill up our fridge, because you're trying to squeeze everything into it. And like I'm in the
Uh,
shops, and I'm like Simone picks something up, and like Simone, I don't think we can actually fit that in the fridge. I'm sorry, we're gonna have to put that back, But so then I went and I filled up our new fridge, and it didn't even fill a quarter of it. Like it was comical. Like I just couldn't believe it, but I was so delighted. Like it truly is like an adult thing of like growing up, getting your own place, and like
yeah.
when you're kid, it's like when like you're a kid and like I'll never appreciate getting socks for your birthday, whatever. Now I
Oh my
love getting
God.
socks, man.
I literally was only talking to Nicola today about how badly I need boxers. And like I'm real particular about boxers. I'm really weird,
Yeah,
right? Socks I'll buy from Pennies, no problem. Primark all day long. But my boxers, they need to be like not really expensive, but at least 20 to 30 quid. And there's like certain boxer places I like the Pennies ones are too tight up your arse. H&M's ones, they don't last very long. Like it's these things you never think about, like when you get old, like when you're younger, you're like, what the fuck?
I
I'll
don't
wear
think I've
anything.
like, from my many years of friendship and being in locker rooms and PE rooms and playing football,
Uh,
which and stuff. I don't think I've ever seen you not in a pair of Calvin Kleins.
Normally Calvin Klein's or Nikes. The Nike ones are pretty decent as well. Like they're like 25 quid. But let's get off the boxes talk because you've really important stuff to talk about this
Yeah,
week,
guys,
lads.
this is the first time, right, where like before this episode, me and Imran have actually been on the phone for about an hour, and that's the first time. We usually like to keep it kind of loosey goosey off the cuff, but we had to prepare for this episode because we wanted to do a special edition episode. We've got submissions from you guys, so we've got some voice notes, we've got some emails, we've got some comments, and we've got some DMs from you guys. Thank you all so much for sending all that stuff through. We really appreciate it. If you remember in last week's episode we asked what is the most difficult part about being about being away from Ireland, or having friends that are away, or just any kind of difficulties that you're having with your long distance friendships slash relationships slash situationships. I don't know, but we're gonna dive deep and we're gonna go through them. There is quite a lot to get through. We were kind of overwhelmed with the response.
Yeah.
That's why we had to do like two prep meetings before we went into this and do loads of sound checks and make sure everything was crystal clear. I can guarantee you something else is going to go wrong during recording anyway. But sure, look, we're still as successful podcasters. We're not that successful. We are still using the free Zoom plan, so bear with us while we while we get through this. So yeah, Imran is going to read off the first five, and we'll kind of chat through them. And these are all anonymous as well, by the way, so we're not going to be reading out.
Yeah, just for confidentiality reasons, we're just keeping everything anonymous.
We are we're both still in the EU, so you know GDPR.
Yeah,
big up.
So the first person is from Ireland, and they moved to Switzerland. A lot of these people are from Switzerland because of the group that I have portrayed here. But so this person said that the biggest thing that they found was that they miss a lot of their family and friends' birthdays, and they really struggle a lot by missing occasions, and obviously as well not being there for their own birthday. So I think that's something a lot of people would probably feel with. I especially found it as well. Seeing some of my friends being out for their birthdays and not being on like nights out, you kind of have a sense that you're missing out. Not just on the side of drinking, but it's like because as you get older now, you find it so hard to meet up unless it's on a night out. I think that's like a big problem. And I think the one thing I like about me and Sean's friendship is that Sean doesn't drink. So when we spend time together, it's on stuff that we both like doing, like going to the cinema.
I genuinely cannot tell. Are you talking about me, or are you talking about the other Sean?
Sorry. For me. Sorry, I meant Finn.
Okay, right. This is exactly what I'm talking about. When you said Sean, I was like, oh, he's not talking about me. He's talking about
my brain was. I'm actually talking about Finn. It's funny because at the start of the podcast, they said I wasn't talking about Sean. Oh, lads. But yeah, that's one thing I would say on that person's perspective.
I think it's so interesting as well to hear. I think you could have an interest in taking this as well, because me and you were very similar about this aspect of our lives. We both hate our birthdays. We both don't want that to do with our birthdays. We can just it's just another day for the two of us. So like, how does that feel for you? Like when you've been away for your birthday, obviously, because you'll probably get an influx of people from like friends and family calling you and stuff, like, you know, whereas when you were home, you would obviously still have people calling you and messaging you and stuff, but it'd be more like, oh, we'll see you later and stuff. Like, how did that feel for you with somebody who doesn't like their birthday, you know?
Yeah, I think as well, because we'd only moved to Switzerland last year, we didn't have a lot of money to spend on our birthdays. I mean, never really that me and Nicola would actually spend a lot each other's birthdays. We kind of like to go on holidays, like as that's our present together. That's just something we're both into. But this year we couldn't afford to actually do that for my birthday. So we actually ended up not being able to do anything, which was okay because of our situation that we were in. We weren't able to do that. But I think the biggest thing for me was it wasn't like being able to like go for a meal with my family and friends, or, you know, just little small gestures, like even be able to like get a card off someone. And like, I know you use that much, which I appreciate it, but even little small stuff like that, little gestures, because for me as I get older, it's birthdays don't really mean anything to me, but if someone takes their time out of their day to say happy birthday, I think that's a nice thing for someone to do, because they're just showing that they recognize that it's your birthday. I don't know really how to explain that situation. You probably could explain that a little bit better than me, like.
Yeah, like for me, like I just the reason I know we won't get into it while we're on a podcast, but the reason we both hate our birthdays is because we've had very similar kind of home upbringings. So like for me, like it's as long as like I would expect a text from like I would kind of expect one from you and Nicola and obviously my girlfriend and like my immediate family and stuff. Like I would like be like, okay, like that's like it's almost like a checklist type of thing, like, you know. But like if somebody I work with said it to me, I'd be like, oh, okay, grand, thanks for just being sound, you know, being nice and stuff. But even at that, I can find it a little bit overwhelming as well sometimes. Like, you know, I don't know about you, but sometimes I don't like it's crazy because like I am like a creative in terms of like doing this and doing music, and like I'm
music and
constantly in creative things which like kind of seek attention, but I don't actually really like the attention. I like to earn it. Like that's why I think with the music stuff and this, it's like okay, like he's working for her, and that's why he wants the attention. I get that. Whereas like I feel like sometimes the birthday thing can be like undeserved attention, and that's why I have a bit of a funny relationship with it as well.
Yeah, I get that. Yeah. I think
Uh,
it's funny because some people would probably disagree with us on that because I know some people like genuinely love their birthdays, which
yeah,
I think
yeah,
is fine. Completely like it's another year of life and
yeah,
that's a great thing too. But I think from our perspectives, because we've had a similar upbringing, like birthdays have never really been a major thing. So I think it all really depends on how you're brought up, your environment growing up, and
yeah.
yeah. But definitely a good point from that person. The second
Let's
person
move on.
is originally from Greece. They lived in Ireland for a while, and now they're also living in Switzerland. They they said the hardest part is building your furniture. Um, I mean, yeah, I actually lived with this person for a while. I'm not gonna say who you were, but she was saying that because she was a girl at the time and she was by herself, like it's kind of clueless unless you've got like yourself when you order from IKEA and all the parts come. Sometimes you're like you put it on back to front. I think I did that like
Yeah.
6 times when I first moved into my apartment.
If I didn't have Simone, I'd be so fucked. Like Simone is
Yeah,
unbelievably
yeah.
good at
So
DIY, and I'm terrible at
that
it.
was Nicola.
Like
No,
I'm
I'm shocking.
so bad at DIY. Like,
I think it's like if
so
your dad's
I
not in
relate
your
to
life,
that.
if your dad's not in your life,
Raise your
show
hand for the
hands,
folks at the back. You know.
Confederates.
But yeah, no, I get that. That's yeah, and it's like
Yeah.
it must be hard as well because like I know like at times like I've been able to like lean on family for that sort of stuff. Like even like with driving and when we moved over here and got the house and like Simone's stepdad has like been a lifesaver for us like for doing like electricianal work around the house or helping us like put TVs on the wall, like little things like that
Mm.
that like I just don't have the skill set for. Like I can imagine how tough that must be if you're in a different country and you don't know anybody, especially for the first couple of weeks. Like that must be crazy.
Even when we were saying before in the previous podcast, one of the episodes was that our bed had came, but not with the slabs.
Yes, yeah,
When we had done the second order, the couch came, our dining table came. It all came at the same time. But I was also in work that day, so I only could do what I could. And I tried doing the couch last, but I like completely like messed it up. And I put like one side of the arm to the other side. And then Nicola, when I came home that night after the Nicola and two other girls had like completely finished everything. So if I don't say that now, they'll kill me. I'm also useless at DIY. Like just I have to say that because I know they'll be on my back if I don't say it.
no,
So yeah,
we need to stand men who can't do DIY, but we're well. I say we're right. I know I am. We're me and behind the grill in the kitchen,
yeah. I feel like I'm way
we
better in the
make up for it
kitchen
in other ways,
in other ways. Yeah.
There we go.
And that person also said hardest part is missing big events and birthdays. So yeah, pretty much what the
Sum it up
first person
again,
said.
yeah.
I completely agree. Yeah.
Grand stuff. We'll
Onto
move
the
on.
onto the onto the next one, guys. So this person's originally from Italy, and then they moved to Ireland and stayed there for a while, and now they're again living in Switzerland. Switzerland 3 for 3 here, guys. So this person said missing family or friends' birthdays or not being there with them for traditions, such as watching every new Marvel movie in the cinema together. She finds this really hard. Yeah, I
Can
think
relate to that very hard. Relate hard on that
yeah,
one.
me and Sean, I think we've seen it. Oh, again, I'm calling you Sean. Me and
Who
Finn have
is this
seen like
person? Who is this man?
me and Finn have seen like over, I'd say 20 and
At
probably
least, yeah.
30,
No, at
at
least
least 30
20. At
movies.
least 20.
So even now, I still find it hard because I dragged Nicola to all the Marvel movies. I mean, she did come to some of them before, but she wasn't like me and Sean where we go into depth about like everything on the movie. Like, let's not even talk about Morbius right now,
That's a
but
whole podcast in itself, man. Morbius. Oh,
yeah.
I'm not getting into
Uh,
it.
But I would say I kind of understand that. Like one thing I'll say about me and my mom is like movies is watching our thing. It's kind of like one thing that we've bonded over like throughout the years. And we just love watching movies. So yeah, I definitely can relate to that one in some kind of sense. And yeah, I think that's what most people say, missing big events and stuff like that. I kind of agree with too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. It's like I miss having you for the cinema, especially like because Captain America 4 is coming out, and like do you know
I
what it is? Like it's
know.
films that I'm not so excited that I want to go by myself or I want to go like with Simone stuff. But if I had you here, I'd be like, no, but I
Yeah.
know Imran will go and see it with me. Like, it's little bits like that, like,
Yeah. Like there's the complete unknown was coming out, the Bob Dylan one. Like I knew what you would have came to that one
Yeah,
with me
yeah.
and like stuff
I
like
say
that.
I'm
So
not too pushed to go because like if Simone's not into interested in going to see it, and like I'm not pushed enough to want to go and see it by myself. Like like we talked about this
yeah,
last week, but like I've no
yeah,
problem going to the cinema by myself. But
yeah.
I'm just not like that pushed to go and see it by myself. Like whereas if I had you here, I would go and see it by myself.
What
I
it's
would
doing
not
it.
by myself. I'd go and see it with you.
And the one thing that's really annoying where I'm living, it's because it's dominantly a very Swiss German area. The only day they show movies in English is on Tuesdays, and I tend to work every Tuesday. So I haven't been to the cinema like in like I'd say like 4 weeks, which is weird for me because I
For
tend
us,
to
that's
go,
weird.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
like I tend to go like at least every second week and a half, depending on the movies out. Of course, if
Week
there's loads
and
of
a half,
movies
and
out,
the and
yeah,
a
yeah.
half was really important
The and a half is a
there.
thing though, because genuinely it like I try to not like see it on release night every time unless it's a really important movie that I want to see. Example, Spider-Man, all the Avenger movies, but we'll get into that at
I really, I,
another
I
podcast
know,
date.
I know you hadn't moved to Switzerland at this point, but because you were interrailing. But I
Yeah.
really, really missed you, especially when
Oh,
Beyond the
I
Spider Verse
know.
came out. Like
Beyond
that
the
was
Spider
actually really
Verse.
tough. I remember walking into the cinema and like I'd gone to see it with Simone, and again, like this is nothing, but like that's just like it was like our thing,
Yeah,
And
yeah.
you weren't
We
even
we
the
should
thing you weren't even gone permanently at that point. Like you were just interrailing, so it was
traveling. Yeah,
upsetting,
yeah. We should watch that when you come over.
Yeah, we could
Actually,
do that in Sing
because we
Street.
actually haven't seen, yeah, and sing through for Nicola. We're just conscious of time, guys. So I'm going to move on to the
Yeah,
next
cool.
one. So this person's originally from Ireland and they're living in the States. So she said, I moved to the States 10 years ago at this point, and I have to say the hardest part about the long distance friendship is the feckin' FOMO. All the crack happening in my absence hurts the baba soul of me. People are class and try to make you feel included, of course, but it's not the same as the in person crack. But on a more serious note, the fear of something terrible happening and not being there with everyone I love is real. I lost someone close to me a couple of years into my big move, and it was physically impossible to get back for her funeral. And that was one of the worst things of all time, really. And the fear of that happening again is a constant little nagging in my head. So a bit of a deeper one there, guys.
Mm.
Yeah, I definitely something I haven't thought about yet. But I'd say that is something that you do worry about living abroad. Especially I probably think about more of the friend side. Because a lot of my family are still in really good health. Because you never really know what can happen to anyone, really.
Mm.
But yeah, I'd say that's a very relatable one.
Yeah, for sure. I can only imagine what it's like for like some big emergency to happen and like you to be on the opposite side of the world and like it might not even be a money thing. It might just be like there's no flights going or like you have to get
Yeah.
connecting flights and like they don't work
Mm.
out
And then
until
trying to get time off
a
work and
certain time. Like
everything,
it's
and
crazy,
yeah. I
Um,
think I think the only thing I kind of have in that sense of a blessing in disguise is that I'm only a 2 hour and a half flight. Like
mm,
this person living in the States, you could be talking about 10 hour, 12 hour flight. And so
yeah.
that's even harder, I'd
But
say.
this is it. Like it's a massive like even like when you think about it, like it would take longer for me to drive to Kerry than it would be for me to fly to go and see you. You know,
Yeah,
when you
yeah,
think about it like that, like and the thing when you first told me you were thinking about moving abroad because I remember it was all very hush hush at the time, and
yeah, yeah, yeah.
like I remember being like, oh my god, like where is he? Like I was kind of like, please don't go to Australia because I knew I wouldn't see because it's not like
Yeah,
I've seen you twice since you've moved away, you know
yeah,
which and I will see you again like in 3 months so
yeah,
it's not such a distance that like I said you could like if you got a call after we record this podcast you could be here tomorrow in this house
yeah.
or in your
Mm,
parents place or with any member of your family you could be here like by midday tomorrow, like, if an emergency came up. But yeah, it must be tough for the folks that are over like in the US and in Australia. Like, it's one of the reasons that
Yeah.
I wouldn't be able to go. But like, you
Mm,
say that, like, you got to consider Bruno as well. Bruno the dog,
mm.
you know.
Yeah, guys, my dog. I've recently just added a photo of him to the. I know
Uh
people on the audio won't be able to listen, but
Anybody watching on
yeah,
YouTube, we haven't really plugged that, but we do have a YouTube channel where you can watch us talk shy.
yeah, and see our pretty faces and Bruno's
Yeah.
face. But yes, yeah, there's some weeks where I really miss Bruno. I was never really a dog person as well, and once I got him over COVID, he was found on the side of the road. But that will be another sad story for another podcast.
But we
But
need to do an episode on dogs. Like
yeah,
just
that'll be
dogs. Like,
yeah. I don't
hopefully.
want to talk about Bruno. I might get emotional. Okay, we'll move on, guys. Yeah, so this person is from Ireland, and again, Switzerland. They moved to Switzerland. So he said, I'd say it's just being away from everyone. I've always had my friends and family basically on my doorstep, but now not seeing anyone whenever I want to see them is the most difficult thing. That's why when someone comes to visit or I get to go home, I really appreciate the time I have with them. I think that is nice, the little point you put at the end, appreciating the time. Um, I didn't get to see my auntie when I went back, and that was kind of hard because like I was kind of looking forward to seeing her. Um, so I think for him to say appreciating the time is definitely a thing. I think you're more present now when you come back,
Mm.
where I feel like because even when I was at you and Simone's, I was kind of like I was conscious because we didn't have that much time together due to like lift situations and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It was like you're kind of like making sure like when you're there, like to just chill out, enjoy your time, and then not to think about I have to go here and go there and
Yeah.
yeah. So
Yeah. Like that's it. Like, and I even like from like the opposite perspective. Like I noticed that now with like when I talk to the likes of yourself or any of my other friends that live either on opposite ends of Ireland or like live abroad or like over in the UK or whatever. Like, I I appreciate the people who are actually close to me because like I have some really close friends that live 20 minutes away from me that I've seen you twice more recently than I have them. And because it doesn't seem like as big of a deal because they're 20 minutes down the road, like, but because there's like a country gap, like our friendship seems like a much bigger deal because like it's like, oh my god, like, we're in different countries and we're trying to keep on touch. But like, it's mad that like, I have super like really close friends, like, lads who have known as long as yourself, and like, also gal pals who have had for as long that I haven't seen in a while. And like I value, I get what you're saying about like valuing that time, like, because like you kind of way up and like it's like, we had it for like after the first couple of weeks, like we were pretty good for calling each other for the first couple of weeks, like, we did call each other like at least once or twice a week. But as life gets busy, as you were getting jobs, as Nick, as like, stuff picks up and you're putting together furniture, and I'm out of work, and like, I'm like starting to do new things or pick up new routines and stuff, like, you really do value that time that you do actually get, because it gets tougher and tougher the longer you're away, like, because everybody has, I said this to you when you were moving as well, everybody has the best of intentions to ring you for a week, and I guarantee you they want to ring you for a week.
mm,
But it, life does have its way of, dragging you back down to like, into like the moment and into the space that you're in, like, so yeah, that's
yeah.
my tangent there. Sorry, my weekly tangent.
That is interesting. I think the one thing I'd say to that is, and this is not like me like dissing anyone from back at home. It's the people you expect to contact you like don't, and it's the people that you probably wouldn't have thought that okay, maybe you would have talked to them once or twice here and there. They kind of tend to check on you the most, and I'm kind of starting to like come to realization of like okay, who's kind of like my real friends checking in on me, and that's not just them on their point. Like life does get in the way, and you do get busy, and I understand that. But even one thing I would say is since I went home, like I was really close to four of the lads during lockdown, and then obviously life got in the way. But when we went back this time, we actually made a group chat, because we like met up for dinner. And we were all saying, "Oh, we were really good mates here during this time, and it's been really good to get back into doing stuff together in terms of like even just chatting online and like telling each other how sending memes and how our week was and stuff like that." So I think that's probably the biggest thing I'm finding now since I've moved away. But yeah, we'll get into that later because I'm conscious of time.
Yeah. Sorry
Yeah,
if this feels a
yeah,
little rushed for the audio
yeah,
listeners as well,
yeah.
but
This is
you need we need to leave you wanting more as well. Like, that's what I
that's
say.
yeah.
Like, that's how I am with food. That's why I'm a fat bastard. Anyway, moving on. I'm going to start reading some of these out now. So we have anonymous person number 6. This person has come from South Africa and is now living in Switzerland. And yeah, they say the hardest thing is keeping in contact. So a lot of kind of what we were talking about there, like a lot of the like kind of in person stuff. And I think there's like he's saying in person friend kind of stuff, and like I'm kind of getting like when you tell jokes and you can kind of read the vibe of a room, like or you can say
Mm,
like when you're getting to know people for the first time. And like I know your sense of humor well enough at this point that I could say, and I know how you're gonna feel about it, like but doing that over
mm.
online can be different, especially like for a prolonged period of time. Like, if you're away for like a year plus, like people change over the course of time. Like, it can be quite hard to like read that, like, and read a room, like, like if you're not seeing people like for a while, like,
Yeah,
um,
he was saying I think as well that like he is one mate that they don't message or call,
yeah,
but when they're in
yeah,
person, they chat a lot. I do have a couple of mates like that where we don't really text that much, but when we're in person, it's like I saw them yesterday,
yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
I think that's actually a really good thing in a friendship. Like you don't have to see each other all the time or talk all
No,
the time, but when you meet each other, it's like yesterday you were together and are getting along and stuff. So yeah, definitely can see a side to that
so we're
aspect.
moving on now. So this is probably this is probably I don't know. I think this is the biggest gap between origin of country and where the person moved. Here we're going from Ireland to China, right? So I think this is the
Yeah.
biggest gap because we don't have any. We gone to Australia, and the US is relatively closer, and
Mm.
Canada and stuff. So yeah, this person says, I'd say the hardest part of moving to another country is the isolation that you can feel. Not only are you away from your friends and family, but you don't know the language, and it can be even more so those little interactions that you have with people just going to the shop and saying hi to everybody. Yeah, like that. I think especially like this was something I was worried about with you, and I'm sure you remember I was saying this to you all the time of like I actually didn't know if it was a Swiss language or was it like a situation with Belgium where they're speaking like German or Italian or French or
Mm.
whatever. But I remember flagging this with you a couple of times before you left of being like, oh, like uh, how are you going to combat that? But at least you had Nicola with it as well, like
Yeah, I mean, it is something that it's still trying to get around to. I am understanding the basics here. In my area, they speak Swiss German, but it's weird because sometimes they just throw in French words and Italian words. Because of the district, we're very close to Italy and we're very close to France. So a lot of the languages are kind of mixed together.
mm,
I can get by with the basics, but one thing I would say on what you said there was probably the isolation thing. And due to my job, I kind of work in the evening times, like 5 to close, which would be like 12:30. So none of unless I have a day off, it's really hard to meet up with people.
mm,
So I kind of find myself sometimes slipping into like that isolation part where you're by yourself for so long. But I mean, the only thing that I would say that changed my look on spending time by yourself is diary writing. And I think Finn can kind of agree with me on this. I got into diary writing, I'd say about 2 years ago, and it's so good for like productivity. Like you're doing tasks, like little tasks during the day. It might be small or it could be something big. Like it could literally just be like go to the shop, do recycling. But it might be like even stuff like, okay, I want to watch a movie, spend time for myself to watch a movie, play
mm.
video games, bring my mates, bring my family. So that's one thing I'd say on that topic anyway.
Yeah, for sure. That's it's because are you making an effort to write those down in Swiss or in the different language, or are you still doing those in English?
No, I'm still doing it in English.
Okay, great.
No, but I do have a copy for German, so I
Okay,
try to do
cool.
that. And then when I'm in work and stuff, I try to speak a bit, but my pronunciation is shocking, guys. I can barely speak English.
Okay, we've got 9 minutes to go on this, so we need to get cracking a bit. The next person, again, a massive gap between countries as well, similar to the last one. We're gone from Ireland to China. And this person says, I'd say the hardest part is going from being able to see any of your friends whenever you want to not being able to see them at all. I have a large main friend group, and despite coming over with two of my best friends, we left the rest in Ireland and some in Australia. We still talk every day online or on Xbox. This was something I was prepared for. What he wasn't prepared for is the constant worrying about people's health, being so far away from home that, you know, it's implanted. Sorry, being so far away from home, you have worry that's implanted into you that if anything was going to happen at home, at least it would take a whole day to get there, to travel home. You lose that sense of kind of immediate attention and take a back seat. It's extremely worrying for those older kind of parents or relatives and missing birthdays as well. So yeah, similar stuff to what we've already talked about, like, but again, it must just be a lot harder with that added distance, like, of it's different, like it is so different with me and you. And I was kind of I kind of was a bit glad when I heard about you just going to Switzerland, because I was like, oh, it's in the EU, like, we can go over and see each other, like, but for, like, again, like what we've already talked about, like, it's like with such a large gap, it must be really, there must be some really tough days, like,
The only nice thing I think that was really nice, but the one thing that I took from that was that you said I'd say the hardest part is going from being able to see any of your friends whenever you want to not being able to see them at all. I think that's probably the biggest thing I took from that. Because everyone's at your doorstep, and then you go from that to being the complete opposite, and especially for this person who's in Canada. Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah, and the thing that's kind of similar to what I was talking about earlier of like how you prioritize time. It's like I don't, because some of these guys are 20 minutes down the road from me. I'm like, oh, like I don't prioritize like seeing them. It's like, oh, because I could see them next week. Whereas like going to see yourself or like any of my other friends, it's like a whole couple of months of planning. Never mind then actually going and doing it. Like, so yeah, thank you very much for that message. And yeah, we're moving on to the next person, who says the hardest part is probably missing birthdays and missing his godchild grow up. Which, we've already
Yeah.
touched on birthdays, but yeah, it must be crazy to watch like family member little ones growing up from that type of distance. Like, literally maybe like, if you saw them at birth or if you saw them at like less than 6 months old, to like
The
them walking
aging
around,
is
like it's
uh,
crazy.
the aging is a bit weird, I think. Like I even kind of noticed this seeing uh some relatives like with an extra wrinkle and yeah, a few more gray hairs. But I'm sure when you see like a young child, like a godchild, that must be a bit weird. Because they kind of grow up rather than down.
Yeah.
That tends to how body normally works, but yeah.
Yeah, no, I can imagine
Yeah.
that's because, especially like once you get to, I think we talked about this before, but like once you get to like 22, 23, life starts going so quickly because you don't have
Oh,
school,
quick.
you're kind of finished college. Like I can't believe I'm finished college like 3 years. Like I feel like I only finished college a couple months ago,
Literally.
so for anybody who is kind of that age group and is seeing that happen, like I can imagine like that's kind of adding to that because of how quick time starts to go, because it's so slow when you're so young, like, before you kind of get to after school sort of territory. And then like once you finish school or college or whatever, like it just starts to go so quickly,
Yeah, nice
um
one.
so yeah. And then we have one more that was an email submission, and it was also a comment on TikTok. So thank you very much to this person for their comment on TikTok and taking the time to send us in an email as well. He says, "Hi lads, this is an email in response to your TikTok. Myself and my boyfriend were long distance pre-COVID and during COVID. The main thing was just keeping up with each other in the loop. Lots of snaps, voice notes, and videos. We called each other less often, sometimes short video calls over WhatsApp. It was just a case of keeping in contact. Pre-COVID, I was abroad in France, so it was great sharing any adventures I had with him and making a digital photo album to share. We also have thousands of photos in our Snapchat memories that from that time period. During COVID, During COVID, he temporarily became head of organization and I completed my teaching degree. So we were both very busy and used the same apps to keep each other in the loop with what we were doing and anything that we achieved in time, and to vent whenever it was needed. But the hardest part was being physically apart. We ended up love bombing each other whenever they did meet up again. Hotel stays, dinners, impulse present buying. It wasn't really international or meticulous or a natural consequence or reaction to the time lost. We found, oh, sorry, it was more natural consequences to the time that was lost. We are still together and still do the impulse buying for each other, has to be said. And yeah, if we have any more questions, to let them know. But I think that that's the first one that we've had
That's
that's
nice.
like been a relationship. But that's a lovely one to read as well. That they feel that they're
Yeah.
still together, like, you know.
Yeah, I thought it was funny because you mentioned the physical part. Like I probably wouldn't be the person like that's madly into hugging my mates, but I actually thought it was really nice when I came back and you haven't seen someone in a while and they come up and give you a hug and miss your pal and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
It is nice to hear, like, because you don't really take that stuff into consideration, when you don't see them that much, but when you've gone a while without seeing someone, it is nice. So yeah, that's a nice one.
Yeah. All right. Thank you for that. We've got 3 minutes left, and we've got a voice note to play out, which is just under 2 minutes. So I'm gonna play this out, and then we'll wrap up from there. So yeah. Yeah. So hopefully this is gonna play for us, or maybe not. Hold on. Gonna have to blur this out after. Thanks very much for this. WhatsApp. Right.
Yo, what's up? Distance dilemma. um, so yeah, I moved to Switzerland in 2023, and I have like a group of maybe 5 or 6 lads that I've been friends with for about 18 years or something. Yeah, we've been friends since we were in like senior infants. I don't know if the maths is right there with 18 years, but really long time. But what we do and what I think is really beneficial for other people as well that are in long distance friendships, whether it be in a group or individuals, is that every Wednesday we have like we send voice memos just like this, and they can be like 1 minute to 3 minutes long or something like that. And you just go over like your week, anything that's been popping up, like news or any funny things that's happened to you in the last week. And we've been doing it for about like a month now, and I think it's really, really good idea. Because if you're not talking to someone like every week or whatever it is, you kind of lose track of people's lives and how they're progressing and stuff like that. So yeah, we call it Wednesday Wafflers, which is quite funny. I'm probably waffling now, but yeah, I think that's really good when you've a group of lads to do something like that. And then with family, it's pretty nothing special like that, really. Like we just like call every now and again and check in on each other. But the thing I do with the lads, I want to kind of extend that to other people that I know as well, back in Ireland or wherever, because yeah, I think it's a really great idea and it's going along well. So yeah, that's my thing for the distance dilemma. Okay, lads, thanks.
Okay, thank you so much. I need to stop sharing the screen. Come on. Okay, so we've only got a couple of seconds left. So thank you so much to anybody who did submit their DMs, voice notes, emails, comments. It means so much to us. We hope you enjoyed the episode. Sorry for the rushed ending. But yeah, thank you so much. And we will see you again next week. And we're going to leave it to you.
Thanks for the submission, guys. Really enjoyable episode, and we'll see you next week.